Can you mute that?
There, I muted them. Okay.
If I can turn them up, Eddie.
I don't know how to do it. You'll have to do it.
Because that's coming through
I
your
have,
low.
yeah, I have my volume turned up as high as it'll
little
go.
go.
Is there a way to turn it up?
Yeah. But what I'm to do is take the master up and bring our mics down. And we'll just try that. Maybe I'll go this way.
Oh, you're in your key. You have your key.
Yeah. That's the only way to get those tables and chairs.
Off
It's a
the
joke.
horse.
It's a joke.
So still no
So
motion
they
to
showed up.
history?
College.
They reappeared?
Yes.
After the one.
Any
Not yet.
on
No
video?
such facts.
On video?
Not yet. Brian's investigating.
So weird.
I figured they were borrowed. I had a feeling they were borrowed. But
One thing about working in the garden is you get all the gnat bites and ticks.
we're live.
I'll probably have to tweak that a little bit.
Just make sure if you turn the mics down, we'll just need to be more conscientious about.
Well, what I did was I turned the master up and turned the mics down.
Okay, we'll just need to try and
Yep.
get close and talk loudly. Okay. Ready whenever you are, Mayor.
Okay, call to order when you're ready. This will be the Mayor and City Council meeting for July 20th, 2023, Thursday evening. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You wanna?
Yep, sorry.
Okay.
We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together, and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
Amen. You can all be seated. Yes, whenever you're ready.
Commissioner Nina Forsyth,
Here?
Commissioner Kevin Grove,
Here.
Commissioner Adam Ritchie,
Here.
Mayor Robert Flanagan,
Here.
and Commissioner Carter is excused this evening. He had a prior obligation.
Okay, start off with the approval of the agenda. Need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And also approval of the minutes from our past meetings, please.
Make a motion we approve the minutes of the past meeting. Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
And now we're off to special presentations and requests. That will be our microgrid overview via Zoom.
Okay, Lynn and Martin, we're ready for you.
They're on.
Now he's muted.
Hold on, we
Uh-oh.
lost you. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you try again?
What did you do, Mom?
Hold
I just turned the master up and I turned our down a little bit. Let me drop it. Hold on.
If you hover over their boxes.
They're not muted.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
there, we're getting
I think I heard-
something.
yeah.
One's
Hello,
not-
hello.
Yeah,
Testing, testing. Martin,
Yeah.
Martin can sing for you. Go ahead, Martin.
That's good.
No,
We're in good shape now.
All right.
you don't want me to sing.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my video and you guys can just take it from here. Thank you.
Okay. So, if it would help, Elizabeth, we can summarize sort of where we are and the basics of the project, a little about the financing and timeline. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Len Jornlin, I'm CEO of Optimize Renewables down in Washington County, and have spent the last 3 decades, 18 years of that, based where we are now in Washington County, in the renewables energy space and financing. Pleasure to be with y'all to talk about the project, and I'd say most excited that thanks to the Maryland Energy Administration for its support in our ability to raise with Elizabeth and the whole team there in Frostburg the $1.1 million that have got us to this exciting place. So we are a renewable energy developer and financier, and I won't give all the history except to say it's been wonderful working with Elizabeth and Nina to turn around the opportunity where we are now for what is a $6.7 million project. Combines grants from the state. It will combine project debt and project equity for eventually a resilient microgrid for the city of Frostburg. We're about 4 to 5 months so far ahead in terms of Frostburg State's microgrid, and that experience helps us to kind of be any experiences we have there in terms of the project financing and just engaging with the community has been really helpful, because it got us started even back in June of 2019. We met at Allegheny County office with a variety of agencies across the state, from labor to commerce. It was a kickoff to where here we are, actually ready to move forward on a project. Hopefully after this call and questions and answers that you all have. What else can I share? From the standpoint of, maybe I'll come back to sort of timing estimations that I have, and let Martin, if you would, maybe share a little bit about the process that we've gotten to where we are on the microgrid project design, a little bit about yourself, project design, and kind of what makes up the project, what it actually is and will do.
Okay, thank you, Len. My name is Martin Anderson. I'm Technical Director of Optimize Renewables, basically looking at all the technical aspects of projects. I know it's hard to tell with my gray hair, but I have over 45 years of experience in the energy industry, in developing energy projects, mostly in the last few years, renewable energy projects. So for this, we looked at how can we develop projects that will help the city be resilient to grid outages. I think we all understand that with climate change, we're starting to see a lot more potential issues with natural disasters, outages, things like that. And so the whole analysis was based on how can we find ways to, one, make you more resilient, provide places where residents can go in the case of some form of disaster, a grid outage or something. And then also, how can we cut your energy costs in the process of that? And how can we reduce your greenhouse gas emissions? So we looked at multiple projects. Probably the biggest one, or probably the most simple one, was to take the generator that's at next to city, sitting by your police station or your police headquarters in the city building there, which serves that building, and connect it across the street to the community center, and make the community center a facility, we'll call it a refuge or safe haven, where people could go in the case of an outage. We then looked at Piney Dam, that is sitting there. We looked at all sorts of different aspects of that. It has a diesel generator there as a backup. We thought that putting solar panels along the dam structure would provide renewable power to it, and would provide additional resiliency, and change out the diesel generator for a propane-fired generator, which obviously has much lower emissions and would be a brand new piece of equipment. A parking lot on Mechanic Street, that makes a good place for solar panels for a parking structure, or a parking canopy with EV chargers, so that residents can charge their EV cars. Same on the parking lot next to the City Hall, putting a parking canopy there with EV chargers, so police cars be actually covered, keep the snow off them in the winter, and also provide power, and various other locations similar to that. So all of them connect together into a microgrid, which will be controlled, and will basically try to lower your overall costs, and certainly lower greenhouse gas emissions, and provide places to go in the case of a natural disaster for your residents.
I'll share a little on benefits, just high-level benefits and projected timeline. So one of the benefits, besides the resiliency that Martin described, is in our financial model, under the current financial engineering that we have, a first-year net savings to the city is estimated to be $17,503, or a projected estimation of $513,000 over 20 years. These types of projects are over a 20-year term. Again, excited that we had such support from the MEA for the first $1 million grant out of the $6.8 million total project cost. What else can I share? Greenhouse gas reductions we're projecting based on the design and financials modeling that we've done, 909.5 metric tons per year, or an 88.3% reduction in the city's scope 2, what's called scope 2 emissions. There's some changes in that process of how GHG reductions are calculated, but in terms of the benefits of it and sort of walking the sustainability talk that I know the city wants to do, the reductions are going to be extremely significant from the project. So those are some benefits. The last topic I'll share and then open it up for questions is, if, assuming we move forward and complete the agreements that we need to complete, answer all your questions, provide everything you need, the projected financial close that we're hoping for, projected, a lot of variables go into this, is Q3 and quarter 3 of 2023. Our hoped for and projected start of operations of the system, we're hopeful that it can be Q1 or Q2 of 2024. And some of the key obstacles that often come into play and that we would look to seek your support and our friends at First Energy, who we've done a lot of projects with, is things like regulatory permits, ensuring that we have net metering set up so that we can, that is a term for basically selling excess power back to the utility. And that's about it. Hopefully that's a helpful overview. Hopefully it provokes some questions, and welcome any questions that you have for Martin or myself.
The 2023 Q3 projection is for closing the stock offering?
The projection for the Q3 of 2023, Q3 of 2024 would be to target full operations of the system. But really that's kind of dictated by the agreement that we have with the Maryland Energy Administration. So barring any things that would come up that would require an extension, that's our hope for target. But we will follow the contract of the MEA, and then they've been helpful in extensions that are necessary and that make sense. They've been open to doing that and supportive.
So this is actually going faster than the original timeline, which I think projected 2026 as being fully operational.
We're hoping that we'll really match the contract, and right now if we can move through the next stages and benefit from the Frostburg State experiences, then we'll move as fast as we can. But we're going to really follow that contract per its timing. So it'll go from groundbreaking through to actual operations.
Cool.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Len and Martin.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a great night, and I'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Elizabeth and I had a pretty extensive meeting with Len and Michael about the teaming agreement, so that's where a lot of our questions were answered. So that's probably why you didn't hear us asking a lot of questions.
Where can you get a copy of their presentation? Is it on your website?
That verbal presentation, or
No, they made a presentation to you, a timeline, and what they were going to do and all that. Is that on the website?
No, but I can provide you a copy of that. It's in a,
I didn't see it in the agenda.
yes, you're correct. It's, I'm trying to think, probably the grant agreement would have the most information with Maryland Energy Administration, so I could send you that as well as their teaming agreement proposal.
I don't need the agreement. I just need the presentation they gave you and what they plan to do.
Yep, I can send that to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Very good. Next up would be monthly reports of various city departments. I need a motion and a second to approve the reports from our city departments.
Make a motion, we approve the monthly reports.
Second. Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
And Hayden, what's going on in CSO world?
Actually a lot.
Tell us more, tell us more.
Yeah, so Phase 9C, which is our ongoing project, is pretty much coming into the home stretch. They should be paving on Center Street here in the next few weeks, buttoning up a few things stormwater related, making a few connections, and then doing some sidewalks. But for all intents and purposes, the guts of that project are pretty well done. Now everything left is pretty much aesthetic. We did just have the bid open for Phase 10A. Braddock was the presumed low bidder at $101,533,000.
I like that. Can you go back to 100,000? That would sound better.
I know. I wish. But $1,463,000.
Okay.
We did have 3 bidders. All of the bids were ballpark, so Braddock's bid didn't seem out of the blue. But the next phase, 10A, which is the one we just opened, will be the main interceptor line in the swamp below Mountain Ridge. We're pretty anxious to get that one done. We expect to see a lot of returns from that project, and it's relatively cheap. So in terms of dollar-to-dollar value, that should be a pretty good one. And then for Phase 10B and Phase 10C, which are our last 2 big sections of town, we're hoping to get those out to bid in November, December. So moving along very well. Pretty happy. If anybody has any questions,
are we still looking for groundbreaking
this year or two on those?
Oh yeah, 10A for sure. 10B and 10C will be a lot closer depending on how MDE approval goes. Because sometimes MDE approval can take a week. Sometimes MDE approval can take 6 months. So it'll depend on that.
Any questions for Hayden? Okay, Hayden, thank you.
Thanks.
Old business, we are not showing any old business we need to deal with, so we'll go right to new business, resolution 2023-30.
There's several resolutions tonight, and so
You
Hayden
noticed.
has Hayden has the first.
Oh,
That's
Hayden can't
several.
leave yet then.
Your actuators at the water treatment
Oh,
plant are
yes.
approval.
Okay, so at the water treatment plant, we have all sorts of mechanical systems. These are some sets of actuators that basically open and close different valves automatically. We need to have the valves taken out, repacked, and redone, or the actuators, I'm sorry, taken out, redone. There is only one company east of the Mississippi, and I'm not even sure that there's one west of the Mississippi that does it. So with your approval, I would ask for a motion and a second on resolution 2023-30. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to elaborate. It's all technical, talking about gaskets and specs and things of that nature. But I can go into it if anyone wants to hear it. So,
And if they don't function, we don't have water.
correct.
That's the most important thing we need to know.
Yeah.
Right.
One request I would have, I failed to include a separate resolution to approve the purchase because the actuators are over $25,000. So if when you make your motion, if you could amend the resolution to also include the purchase as well as the ARPA approval, I'll clean up the resolution. But that would take care of it from our personnel, or not personnel, procurement policy standpoint. It was like $41,000
Okay.
roughly, give or take $100.
I wish.
So I move that we approve resolution 2023-30, amended to include the purchase of the actuators.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next one. So we did have our bid opening for paving. Ameri-Seal, which is owned and operated by Brendan Orr, was the low bidder. They were a good bit lower than the next highest bidder. We had two bidders. It was Ameri-Seal and Belt. Belt came in the mid fours. Ameri-Seal came in at, I think it was $365.
Yep.
About $60,000 difference.
Yeah. And Ameri-Seal did come to the pre-bid meeting. They've gone on a couple drives with me to look at all the roads we want to do. They did our patch out front. They have worked with us in the past. They did some of the paving on some past CSO projects. So it is with my recommendation that we move forward with Ameri-Seal. I like working with them. So I would ask for a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-31. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to elaborate.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-31.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
See, they've already marked all the streets, so.
Yep.
That means they're starting Monday?
I'll text Brandon tonight. Brendan. So this one I've been helping along with, but I was actually gone for this bid opening.
It's not open yet. You want me to do this one
Yeah.
since I'm here? Okay,
I was
sorry.
in Hawaii.
Resolution 2023-32 is preemptively authorizing me to execute or accept and award the bid to the lowest and most responsible bidder following the bid opening, which is supposed to happen at the end of the month of July for the Child Care Center construction, assuming that the bid is within the funds available or very close to it. So this project is being funded by community project funding, which is earmark money but that's being administered by the USDA Rural Development, and then we also have funding from Community Development Block Grant. Lydia checked with both funding agencies, and they were agreeable to awarding the bid to the lowest and most responsible bidder via a resolution like this. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-32.
I move we approve Resolution 2023-32.
Second. Moving to second. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
It'll be good to get that going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you miss that to me?
Okay. Do you want to-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, resolution 2022 or 2023-33 would be to accept the deed for the public infrastructure at the Sand Spring Phase 2 subdivision. As I mentioned in work session, all of this work was completed in November of last year, and Hayden inspected and signed off on all of it. This would be the water, sewer,
Streets
streets,
and stormwater collection, but not the pond.
but
Okay. Okay.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-33.
Second?
Moving to second. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then resolution 2023-34, there is Rob Rephan on the Historic District Commission. His term has expired, and he expressed a desire to renew for another 3-year term. And then on the Frostburg Planning Commission, we did have one vacancy that became available, and we received application materials from Dr. Richard Russo, and staff would recommend that both Rob Rephan and Dr. Russo be appointed to their respective commissions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-34.
Second. Moving to second. All. Oh, sorry. Public comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Well, I want to add that Dr. Russo even showed up for the Maryland Planning Commission regional thing even before being appointed.
Oh, okay. That was very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Okay.
Okay, next I have resolution 2023-35.
Thank you, Beth.
At your work session, Brian, Director of Parks and Rec, discussed a lease with Borden Mining Company for half of the field up above Cougar Field for parking. You had indicated that you wanted the Cougar youth football team to pay for half of the lease costs. They have agreed via email and writing, but we will do a formal letter agreement with them. And then Michael Cohen, the city attorney, has not finished drafting the lease with Borden Mining Company, but the terms are similar to the short-term lease, except this would be a 5-year term with a 5-year auto renew for about 2 acres, and it would be $5,000 per year. The city would build a split rail fence and have standard hold harmless provisions. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-35.
I move we approve resolution 2023-35.
Second. Moving to second. Any public comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the next resolution is in regards to the agreements with Optimize Renewables. The non-disclosure agreement that Optimize Renewables presented to the city was reviewed by Michael Cohen. Some edits were made to include Maryland Public Information Act provisions. And then there's the teaming agreement. The city attorney, not being familiar with such agreements, has not reviewed it and suggested that if you wanted council to review it, that he would recommend looking to a specialist attorney that was familiar with such things. For the past 3 weeks, I've been trying to find an attorney that is familiar with such things, and I haven't gotten very far. However, Commissioner Forsyth and I met with Len Jornlin that you met tonight via Zoom, as well as Michael Wright, who I've worked closely with throughout the microgrid analysis project and grant writing. And the crux of the teaming agreement is that the mayor and council of the city is selecting optimized renewables to move forward with building the microgrid. They will assemble the financing, they will do the procurement of the construction, they will prepare the energy services agreement for the city, and they will be responsible for distributing the $1 million or incorporating the $1 million grant that the city got into the overall financing package. So that teaming agreement is giving Optimized Renewable the go-ahead to move forward with the city of Frostburg. We don't have a formal agreement. To date, everything has been done in good faith.
And the main purpose is really to show their investors that the city is serious about working with Optimized Renewables on this microgrid so that they can go ahead and raise the capital.
And our project is being aggregated with several other larger projects, so it's financially attractive. When Commissioner Forsyth and I were meeting with different firms doing solar power purchase agreements, which didn't have the benefit of the microgrid, but had the greenhouse gas reductions and the potential cost savings to the city. People would come and meet, and then they'd say, "You're too small." So there's one firm that did present a proposal to the city, but again, we didn't really have a good way of vetting them. I've worked with Michael and Len for several years now through the microgrid analysis and then the microgrid grant application, and they are consummate professionals, and FSU has already signed this teaming agreement as well. So,
do we want to make the resolution provisional on having a lawyer look at it?
yes, so it is written right now that the mayor and city council hereby authorize the mayor to sign the non-disclosure agreement and also the teaming agreement, but that would be subject to council recommendation.
Okay, fine.
And I'm still working on finding someone to review it. I just, it is not of it doesn't reflect any skepticism of Optimized Renewable, but it is my responsibility to make sure that the city isn't signing something that leaves them in the lurch should
Sure,
something go
okay.
wrong.
And it's
So-
because it being really is fairly new technology for all of us to be getting into. I can understand there's not that many attorneys that have gone down that road yet. I mean,
Yeah,
it makes perfect
I think
sense.
especially with the different kind of financing arrangement, it's different than
It
what
walks and
it's-
talks differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, everybody good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move we approve resolution 2023-36.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next resolution, 2023-37, is in regards to 2 vehicles through the Enterprise Equity Lease Program. This year, looking at vehicle costs and decreasing trade-in values and the city's current fleet status, only 2 vehicles have been selected for replacement this fiscal year. That is a vehicle in the street department and a vehicle in the police department. Upfitting of police Durangos is very expensive. The Durango is expensive, and then the upfitting is expensive as well. So in talking with the police department, they identified that the Ford Maverick, which is a light-duty pickup truck, all-wheel drive, it has a 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine, so an efficient vehicle, but it gives them the flexibility to haul things up to the rifle range or pick up.
Tons.
Thank you.
That's
So I don't have to, like I did the other day.
Yeah,
Right.
it gives the police department flexibility, and we don't need when officers are transporting inmates, they don't all need vehicles with cages
No, sure.
for prisoners in them. So
And Nick needs something to drive.
I think they all are excited about the Maverick. So
A lot more excited than the ones that were built in the 70s, right there.
Not as exciting as a Ford Pinto. That was exciting.
Yeah, that was very exciting.
um,
Yeah, especially when you heard the brakes slamming on behind you. But anyway.
So Chevy 2500, it's a standard pickup truck, and then the Ford Maverick. So just those two vehicles. For me to sign the order paperwork, it'll be forever till they come because that's how the world's working
That's
right
how
now. But
Are you getting a plow for it?
not
For
this
this
one.
one? Okay.
Not this one. This one is going to be primarily for towing the trailers.
Okay.
Have you and the staff been satisfied with the enterprise fleet arrangement?
Yes. Other than taking forever, but to that point, the county is going to Enterprise to get vehicles because the county can't even get vehicles. So I know some of the other local government agencies are partnering with Enterprise in limited fashion. From an administrative perspective, not having to try and find vehicles that are available on the state bid list. Nick can attest to what a hassle that was in acquiring police cars. I think that's a huge benefit. I think that them handling the license or the registration component and dealing with the MVA is a huge cost savings. In terms of the administration, we get the VIN number, we put insurance on it, and Enterprise handles everything else. That's a huge benefit when we have limited staffing that handles things like that. The upfitting has been wonderful with the vendors that they use. We had a light issue in the police department, and the upfitting. I think our vehicles are the most nicely upfitted police vehicles in Allegheny County.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Commissioner?
Yes, it does.
And we had a light issue with one of them, and the representative from the company had us text him a video, and he thought he knew what was wrong with it. He came out, he didn't have the right part to fix it. He drove back to New Jersey that night, came back the following day and fixed it, and it was all under warranty at no cost to us. And then I think lastly is, I don't know, sorry, this is like my...
You asked.
Yeah.
Downloading it from Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Historically in the city, when budget time came, there was always tension amongst the commissioners of what department was going to get a new vehicle with the limited budget. To the point that some of the vehicles we've replaced in the last year or two, especially in the street department, you could see through the floorboards. The police department, their vehicles were breaking down faster than Enterprise were delivering to us. So I think the advantage to Enterprise, it makes it a programmatic expense going forward. There's pride in the vehicles for our employees that they're not driving rust buckets around, and they're also safe and more fuel efficient. But I don't know what we would have done if we were just trying to buy vehicles in cash during the 2019, 2020, 21, because our fleet the average age of our fleet was 12 years, and it was in bad shape.
Well, that's great to hear, because I'd heard from different people at MML and also Ray Morris down in Cumberland that they, either decided against Enterprise for various reasons, or they had quit their agreements with Enterprise. I'm really glad it's working for us.
Now, something that we've talked about, and we're sort of doing this year in talking with Alex, who is our sales rep, is just slowing down because of from when we initially signed, the plan was to replace vehicles every 5 years, because vehicle costs, especially heavy duty truck costs, have gone up so much.
Yeah.
Looking at, and the trade-in value is staying up, is looking to extend that out to 6 or 7 years.
Which would not be unreasonable because everything just is lasting longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and we don't put a ton of miles on your stuff. They're going to get a pickup truck with 40,000 miles on it, 7 years old, and it should have good resale value.
Oh, and it's nice also to have the flexibility to change that part of the agreement.
committed to anything, just one vehicle at a time for the 5 years, and then you can hold on to them for as long as you want after that.
And Kevin, I can tell you, we used to drive cars that were how old, guys? 22, 24 years old. Yeah. And we were like the third department to have them sometimes.
250,000 miles on them.
Yeah. So, major improvement. Major improvement.
And I know, I think some of the reluctance is it's just from other jurisdictions to maybe make the decision to go with it. It's just a huge change. And for Cumberland, they have a huge fleet. Every one of their police officers has a take-home vehicle. That's 50-some police officer. You know, it's a lot more vehicles too. So. Okay.
Motion and second, folks.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-37.
Second.
Moving second, any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
I won't talk anymore tonight.
Yeah. You usually have to tell somebody else.
You're getting as bad as Nick.
Yeah. You need a guy in a white shirt,
Nick, you're down to half a minute.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fulsome explanation.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I thought this was just the warm-up. I thought this
Right,
was
yeah.
our meeting here. Now that
Where do you get that Maverick?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. First, I would like to draw your attention to Resolution 2023-38, which is a request from Deidre Robertson, the Executive Director of Frostburg First, to lift the open container ban for the lemonade stroll this Saturday, July 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. She did put in her letter that it would be restricted to only plasticware, no glass containers. No objection, no concerns at all from the police department, and in fact, I would encourage it, and I recommend that you vote in favor of it. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the resolution.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2023-38.
Second.
We've been seconded twice. It's very popular. Public comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you all.
Lemonade this time of year, right?
Yeah.
Next is Resolution 2023-39, which is with regard to our upcoming body camera system, body worn camera or BWC system. You recall from the work session and prior conversations that our county police departments, meaning the Sheriff's Office, Cumberland City, and the Frostburg Police Department, we intend to go with the same body worn camera system. Cumberland is just implementing theirs this week. They got their equipment and are doing the training. We partnered with Allegheny County. Their grant writer did some of the grant funding in that. But essentially this plan is the result of a lot of research by the body camera committee. From us, it was Sergeant Mulaney, again, Cumberland City and the Sheriff's Office all had people. The state's attorney was involved and would like us all to be on the same system. So what I would ask you to be doing with this resolution is to approve us to enter into this 5-year agreement with this company called Utility, which essentially provides the body-worn cameras, the cloud-based storage, the hardware, the software, essentially everything we need to get our body camera system up and running. So the financial aspect is broken into 5 payments, like one payment for each year. The first payment is $61,082.68. That is covered by grant funding that the county obtained when we decided to do this together. So that will be paid for through the state police accountability grant obtained by the county. Future years, we anticipate grant funding, but there's no guarantee of that. So the next 4 payments would be $30,541.33. And again, we don't know will grants fully cover that. I'd say that's likely. Will grants partially cover that? I'd say that's at least very likely. What portion we have to pay, we can't say for sure. But I think the body camera committees and the agencies have really worked together and done their diligence to research this, and think this is the best way to go for all of us that work together in Allegheny County. And I would ask for your support for this program, and a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2023-39. Of course, I'm glad to answer any questions.
And as a side note, this is also a police reform mandate, so we're going to have to do it. We're just doing it a little bit earlier. And Nick and I are both all for it. It's going to save our officers on a lot of false accusations of officer misuse. So I think it's a good idea, and As we go, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-39.
Second.
Move to second. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all, certainly appreciate it. Last is resolution 2023-40.
Not 340, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No
Typo
problem.
there.
Not a problem.
Well, we've done a lot.
There.
Oh, okay, got it.
It's only July.
Oh,
That's okay.
So this was a request by the C3I Advisory Board for you to authorize the mayor and myself to sign an MOU to increase the salary of the C3I clerical staff member who works part-time through the week, Christine Howard. So a copy of the MOU has been provided to us in advance to review. My apologies, Cumberland City just got it to us yesterday and just kind of came in time for the meeting. So they're asking me to increase her salary to $19.04 an hour. We would pay 25% of that. FSU would pay 25%, and Cumberland City would pay the rest along with the Allegheny County Commissioners. So that we've had this set up for a long time.
Yes.
It's already a line item in our budget. It's essentially a salary increase for her. I think we'll be within the current budget, or at least very close to it, which is about $6,000 a year. We haven't had an investigator at C3I for several years due to staffing, but we are a member of C3I. We're in the MOU. We're on the advisory board, and they've still been up here doing our shootings and some of the more serious cases. No problems, no questions asked. So small price to pay to support the clerical staff for our own cases and that partnership. So I would ask for your approval of resolution 2023-40. I'm glad to answer your motion in a second, and of course I'm glad to answer any questions you may have.
I make a motion we approve resolution 2023-40.
Second.
Move to second. Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right. 47 seconds. Go.
All right, we'll just keep this very quick. The police report for the month of June 2023, 546 incidents. The year before we had 624 incidents in June. Fewer arrests than we've seen in a while. We've had fewer calls requiring an arrest, so I think it's been pretty good.
That's fantastic.
June was a pretty good month given some of the troubles we had over the past year or so, but as always, just a diverse array of activities. We have some good community events. Of course, Derby Day went really well. We had the Pirates Ahoy events Saturday and Lemonade with the Law, another very nice time. And of course, back early in June, we had the Flag Day ceremony at the Elks, which was very nice. We've done prescription take-back events up at Frostburg Heights, I think was the most recent one. So always out there, always trying to do positive things.
Did notice that also, being out on Main Street numerous times the last couple of weeks, the out-of-towners are very good about feeding the meters.
I've noticed that.
They're
Noticed
very,
a lot of
very good
people
about it.
feeding them.
I've seen Kentucky, license plates, Vermont. I mean, we're seeing a lot, obviously, more
yeah.
I think more visitors this summer. At least I got that from Lady at Mercantile. She was commenting to me the other day about it. But it's amazing how the folks that aren't from here, the first thing they do is go over and look at that. And I've seen that some of these folks do this with their phones too. So
That's great.
I
Yeah,
think it's
that's
great.
really good.
Yeah.
Just a quick note to put it on your radar. Well, that reminded me. There have been some functionality problems with some of the meters lately. I know City Hall's had some folks come in and talk about it. We are aware of it. Corporal McCarty, who's kind of overseeing our meter stuff, is doing some research now. We've talked with Elizabeth.
It
Park
may be a
Mobile-
disaster.
Yeah. Yes. Park Mobile works perfect, but sometimes the meters just are off or not working.
'03, long time ago.
We're doing some
Yeah.
research, but
Yeah.
if you do a Google, like how to buy a coin-operated parking meter, the only place that seems to sell them is eBay, which is a problem.
It's really weird because I mean it started getting bad around 14, 15,
Mhm.
and and the kiosk thing, folks. I do not want to get into that.
I don't either. So
Yeah.
we're going to be contacting the meter company and seeing if they can sell the guts to us. Hopefully that's an option.
Yeah.
They're still in business, so you'd think they're selling something, but
Duncan. Yeah. Okay.
So work in progress, and thank you very much. Certainly
Thank
glad to
you.
answer any
Appreciate it.
questions if you wish.
Okay. I guess anyone wishing to make public comment, please come to the podium, state your name, and address the official record. Anybody else have anything? Happy July. Thank you all very much. Hey, you got plans for Saturday night?